when I was a young one, my neighbor lived about half a mile down the road, worked with Duke Power.
Okay.
And if I was ever out in the yard or out in the field, I would watch him go by in the bucket truck. And it just fascinated me.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew him real well. Our families knew each other real well. And just listening to his stories and what he did just, I don't know, just made me kind of want to get into it.
Yeah.
I lived in a small town, so becoming a lineman was very difficult. They were looking more toward guys that were already settled, had a family, give them the job, not so much the young 18-year-olds now. They didn't have school. It was more or less, word of mouth, this guy's a good worker. Mm-hmm. They would get you a step in. But I didn't actually get started till I was 28.
Okay.
And he gave me a call. And he told me, he said, if you want a job, you need to go put in for it now. I'm retiring.
Mm.
So actually got his job that he left.
That's fantastic.
So it was a good start. I enjoyed it, and I enjoy it to this day. I love it.
I chose this just because I went to college, graduated, figured out that I didn't want to be a teacher. So I was looking for something long-term with good benefits, good retirement. And unlike Kenny, I didn't have a passion for it going into it. I wanted something that was long-term, that was gonna be around. You need linemen, so it's not like it's going anywhere.
Yeah.
Gotta have power.
But on his behalf, not wanting to be a teacher, he's an excellent teacher with the younger guys. I mean, really good. Takes time to help them, to train them. I mean, you couldn't ask for any better. He's really good at it.
Well, I mean, I've always liked teaching. I like teaching. I like coaching, but I guess the school that I did my student teaching at it scared me, and I was like, yeah, I better not stick with this profession. I have a married-in uncle that is a lineman. He's retired now, but he was at Meade County RECC.
Okay.
And I kind of talked to him, started getting on the internet, searching some stuff up. I've always worked outside. Thought, man, this is something I could do. And just pretty much picked it up, ran with it. I went to school at Somerset, Kentucky Climbing School.
Okay.
And the rest is history, I guess. I'm here now. I've been with the co-op 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
I started outside of the co-op, but I've been here for 7 or 8.
I've been with Nolin for 15 years. I'm happy to be here. It's been a great place to work. Nolin has really reached out. They took good care of me, and they're good people to work for. So I've really enjoyed this occupation and this place.
All told, all of that experience together, how many years in the industry do you have?
Well, from 86 till now. So
36. I was born in 86.
Was you?
I was waiting for that moment, too.
Is that the jab?
She goes, how many years? 36.
36
Be
years.
37.
It's been a while, but I've enjoyed it. I love it. Not far from retiring, and I'm hoping to walk out of here and be done with it. So, I don't know when. I still feel like a young pup, but, after hearing that, I don't know how young it is. When I first started, every hole that was put in the pole was with a bracing bit. Every hole, pretty much every hole was dug with a spade and spoon or post hole diggers. We had one bucket truck, and it stayed in town because the town didn't want to had their power turned off. We were on the crew on the digger truck, and every time we got a job, you climbed the pole. It was a digger truck without a bucket. So as far as the way it was, you didn't have as much training. It was on-the-job training. It was hardcore training by your superiors. You know, if you did something wrong, they let you know it, and, you know, that's how you learn from it. Now, there's so much training that it's beneficial. Technology's advanced. You need the training. You know, it's really dangerous to just go out there and get on the job training. You need extra. And I'm a firm believer that you need to be taught how to by books as well as out on the job. I love the job. I really do. When I was a crew leader, I would get here in the morning and lay my paperwork out and figure out what I needed to do to get my crew ready. The crew I had was phenomenal. I mean, they were hard-working guys, and they wanted to learn. So it just made it that much easier, but yet we enjoyed it. We had fun. It wasn't just nose to the grindstone, but we had the opportunity to do the more complex jobs. And I love the challenge. And to have to try to sit down and figure, you know, how am I going to do this and what steps do I need to take, and then relay that to them and to teach them so that when I am gone, they can take over and continue on. So I just love it. I love to work it.
Number one is getting people's lights back on when they're out because they appreciate it so much. Second thing would be when you're given, from my point of view, when you're given a complex job and you get it done and you do it to the best of your ability and you make it look good that way. When it's going down the road, we pay attention to stuff like that, but it looks good versus just slapping something up there, even though it works, but making it look good in the process. That would be the most for me. I worked for him for so long that I'm glad it happened the way that it did. I wouldn't choose anybody else to learn underneath of just because, I mean, you can tell he explains things thoroughly. He takes his time, but he also teaches. And the whole, it wasn't nose to the grindstone. It was a majority of the time, but when he knew, hey, this is a time that if we had a job, like, okay, my guys aren't real familiar with this, I need to slow this one down so they pick it up. But for the majority of the time, it was nose to the grindstone.
Gotta get it done.
Yeah, I mean, it was great coming up underneath him just because he had so much knowledge that he could just pour down on all of us and retain as much as you can because he's probably forgotten more than we know.
I don't know about that. I forgot a lot, though. Because you learn every day. I'm still learning every day with technology, and everybody knows it. I hate computers, but you got to learn. I'm proud of not only Rhyme, all these guys out here with Nolin. They seem to all really want to get the job done. We go out on get a storm come in, and they call out, we need help. And we're flooded with guys coming in, you know, and that's good. Yeah. It's a good thing to see. And I think everybody takes a lot of pride, some more than others, but I think everybody takes a lot of pride in what they're doing, you know, not just here for the money, but here because they want to help. They want the job, they want to help. So I guess that would be my advice to them, just take a lot of pride in what you do. Yeah. You still dig a hole, you still plant a pole. You still work it. Nowadays you have bucket trucks galore. Back in the day you used to climb most of it, but you still work the pole basically the same way. You know, You have to pull the wire, you have to sag it, you have to tie it in. It's all done the same as it was years ago. Sure, it's a little bigger now, it's a little heftier, but the technology and equipment has simplified it quite a bit. But you still have to dig the hole, and you still got to set the pole, frame it, set it, and do all the construction work to it.
The biggest thing to me, I mean, obviously safety's changing every day. Safety protocols have changed, and the 100% tie-off, which was a big deal. That's also in the safety, but that was the biggest transition. 100% tie-off. They have to climb in buck squeezes now, or any kind of harness that goes around the pole versus just having the one strap that goes around and you carrying it up pretty much. He would probably climb to where he was getting and then throw his safety on when we had to climb in it. But now we have to climb 100% tie-off, where it actually, if you fall, your belt catches you and won't really let you. That's the biggest change. As far as equipment and stuff, not so much. They've been pretty good since I've been here.
Yeah, the equipment, our one bucket was just that. It was a bucket. No jibs, it was just a ride up and down the pole. Nowadays, the buckets, they have jibs, they have buckets that have elevators, they have, hydraulic systems hooked up for use hydraulic tools. And then you went to battery. Here comes all this other stuff. I never thought I would be around to see it, but it's here. Remote control digger trucks. Who would have thought of that?
Yeah, that's something that's changed.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's better. And they'll all tell you, well, he's old school. Well, yeah, I am. You remember how you were brought up, and you try to convey that, to the guys. But they're going to remember how they were brought up. They'll probably see remote control bucket trucks. And I've seen the foreign countries are experimenting with, you sit in a bubble in the air conditioning, and you ride up in the air, and it's got robotic arms that do the work. And I probably won't ever live to see it, but, Ryan probably will. He might be in one. I don't know. But technology has just overwhelmed me. And all the, used to, if you wanted to put a line on one shot, you had to go to the breaker or go to the substation and manually do it yourself, and then go all the way back out into the field. Where now we can call in and tell our dispatchers, we need this circuit put on one shot. Click, okay, it's done. Well, good. Now we can get to work, I reckon. But it's just thinking back, you don't do as much climbing. You still climb quite a bit, but not near as much. But now, used to, when you come up to a pole, you didn't even have to go tell the people you're going to kill that line. They knew when the lights went out, you're either working on it or a storm came through. Well, it's a bright day, so you must be working on it. And they didn't bother them. But now, if you don't knock on them doors, everybody's working from home. You have to work a lot more hot. So it is a big change from '86 to now. We have a good time. We laugh. We cut up. And like I say, our crew was as big a family to me as my family at home. And I wouldn't want anything to happen to my family at home, and I don't want anything to happen to the crew, any of the crews. Anything goes wrong, it seems like here, I know, everybody jumps in. How can I help? Or what do you need? And I've seen it. and been a part of some of it and been a recipient of some of it. And it's just overwhelming what these guys will do for you, you know, mow your grass after working all day. Or we always take up collection. We always do something to help the families out. And that's really important. And it makes me feel good to see it happen. You know, it gives you that little uplift of society, I guess, again. You know, when you think things are so bad, all these mass shootings and all this stuff, how bad can it get? And then you see this, and it's like, you know, it's not really that bad. It's just what we make of it. So, you know, make the best.
He just says all the right things.
I'll hush.
Like, I'm not going to be in this video at all. You just said all the right stuff.
You should have sat a little closer.
He should have just said like this.